3, 2, 1. Welcome to 8 at 4 Behind the Lens, where we have the opportunity to talk with Will Roye, but also Kelli Lemon about how 8 at 4 this week, episode 2, came to life. Debuted on April 20th, and now we have the opportunity to talk about this episode and how it came to life, all that went into it. And Will, again, great job with what you did. You took 8 segments again, this time shortened them just a little bit. Yeah. And we were in and out in about a 15-minute experience of 8 great stories of things going on in Richmond, not just timely, but also evergreen and organizations to know about. Overview of how the episode came together.
I really loved it. A lot of it was organic. Like I said on the segment, the last segment, actually, I just ran into the guy randomly after I bought some allergy medicine. Like, all of these features just came together so organically, and I feel like they just felt right.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's very unique about what we are producing is like the visuals of it. You know, not only are you telling the story, but then I get to see. You know, so then I get to go there. You know, and that's what I love about it. Just the fact that, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, wait, where are they at? Oh, I can go there and touch that.
What I liked about it again was that there are timely things that are going on that I could go to this event, whether it's RVA Fashion Week or something else, Kanawha Plaza, something like that, but also some evergreen content, things that I didn't know about, stories that I'm interested in hearing more about, like the Bones Highland piece or Manchester Manifest, but then also the individual Darius with lead and that. So let's just jump right in with business, where we talked with RVA Fashion Week and Jimmy Budd. Jimmy, as the timing worked out, Jimmy makes Style Weeklies 40 under 40. Yeah. This lands, etc. But talk a little bit more about what you learned from Jimmy in RVA Fashion Week.
Getting to know Jimmy was really fun. He's a really cool guy, and I didn't realize the extent of activity that RVA Fashion Week has in the city. Yeah. Like, they really take over the city for a week. And just hearing about the events, hearing about the history of it, hearing that it's more than fashion, it's a community. It's like, that's their tribe, if you will. It was really cool.
10 years in the making with RVA Fashion Week, and you know, when you think about Richmond, you don't think about fashion. Right. However, that week has sent numerous models to New York and LA and even overseas fashion weeks, and some of those photographers, which hopefully we'll get to highlight soon, have been in major publications like Vogue. Yeah. So.
Well, and just in some of the social feeds that I am part of, when it happens, it's happening. Yeah. You are not missing that RVA Fashion Week is going on. Yeah. And they do such a good job on social to make it sort of ever present throughout the year.
That's true.
And that it isn't just this week. So Jimmy has done a really great job with that. Lifestyle and charcuterie. How does that come up? And if it weren't this show, anybody would give anyone else a hard time for, why are you putting cheese and cured meats after a guy in suits? And like, how? But it works, and it's amazing, and she does a great job telling her story.
But before you even go in that, I mean, you went with her to the farmer's market,
Yes.
I spent the full day together.
And you enjoyed it too,
I did.
Okay.
I got a little bit of the food.
I bet you did. I bet you did.
Like, when she puts the blindfold on, I'm not expecting that.
Yeah.
That story right there is like, it's like making a mixtape. You have to start it off with a good song, but then your second song has to take it up a notch. And when she comes in off of that shot of B-roll with the blindfold on and food going into her mouth, I'm done.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Like
Why did that happen?
You want to go eat it. Yeah. I mean, like, you're like, when can I get one? Just to do the blind tasting. Like, I just want to do that now. Like,
and to go, no, you go.
I was going to say, Coachy takes her craft more serious than almost anyone I know.
Yeah.
I've eaten her charcuterie before. I never knew what went into it. Now I see why it's so good. Like, every little every little step of the process is completely thought out.
Yeah. She sages the boxes before she before overnight, right? Like, so she gets the spirits out of whatever box that she puts it in before she builds the box. Who's thinking of that?
There is a level of her experience in this craft or business that is very special by the way she articulates the wellness and the healing that it brings her.
Yeah.
Which, just shout out to her for that, for recognizing that healing position in her life of this.
Yes.
I think is really neat, and to capture that, all of that, in like 2.5 minutes is awesome.
Yeah.
Is awesome. So, great work. Eat like your ancestors. When you were telling us about this story, Kelli didn't get it.
I did. Because you know I'm all about the ancestors.
You're about the ancestors. And
it's like, what?
Will kept saying, it's eat like your ancestors. And you're like, my ancestors? Like, whose ancestors? And if you've driven with Kelli through Jackson Ward, there's a lot of ancestral conversations going on in the car. And so this was a tough one for her to understand.
Right.
But we got there in the understanding, and then the story gets told, and I don't remember his name, but he had cancer. Like, just the... We're not expecting that.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had it's interesting. I used to pass by his shop, and I was always curious about it. I wasn't expecting his story either, but yeah, it's...
And they got vending machines? I mean, they're vending machines, right?
They used to.
Okay.
They had to pivot, so now they just deliver the food.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
vending machines were pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
The sustainability also, which he talked about. I mean, that business is touching so many facets and so many boxes of things that are present in people's lives right now and timely for how do they create a sustainable future for themselves or for their family and for their community. And he's doing that rarely on the front end in terms of getting them their food. So that was really neat. Sports presented by the Richmond Flying Squirrels. You talked about Bones Highland. You kind of came out as a self-proclaimed VCU basketball fanboy.
What can I say?
Yeah, fanboy.
And I don't know if you were even coming out, because I think people probably knew that. I think you wear that badge proudly.
Yeah, I do.
But talk about that piece, because go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, if you're a fanboy, you know my love for VCU basketball, and if anybody knows, I spent years on that sidelines, and the players in general were very unique. I did not know that about Bones. And that little element about him having to jump out of a window and the grieving that he probably had to go through with losing family members, but then also being injured. So there's a memory that's always connected to that. Like, yeah, I hope he balls out. Like, I hope he balls out.
Bones is special.
Yeah.
From the time he got to VCU, I was like, this guy is different. I didn't know his story then either, though. So as I dug deeper, I'm like, wow, that adversity he had to face really, I don't know if that's what the thing that took him over the top was, but man, his story is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, in that piece, your writing really comes through also.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a photo-driven piece that you are not using the camera for, and it's a photo-driven piece, but your voiceover and your writing of it really delivers that. And to what Kelli said, you really experience the loss that he had and what he must have had to go through to get to that. And when you come back with the line of place with a fire and a passion,
you made him human.
It gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, you made him human, and I think that's very important, especially for a guy like him, or a celebrity, or a figure like that. Like, you really touch to that human string, and I hope that you do more stories like that one, like the way that you told that story through the photos and more of your narrative. I hope you do more stories like that.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about community and RVA Parks and Rec and Kanawha Plaza. How did that come together? And there were some brilliant shots in that really made that piece hit home and cohesive, but talk a little bit about that.
So it's funny, I go to a lot of the events that are held in Kanawha Plaza and 17th Street Market. I never knew who was over that process of getting them done. So it was really nice to meet him, and I didn't realize, maybe I'm slow, I didn't realize that canal plasma was over the interstate until that day.
Yeah.
Wow, there really is an interstate. But he was so passionate about Richmond and the park system and just the accessibility. I didn't realize that anyone with an idea can really make it happen. Yeah. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how old the 17th Street Market is.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was the oldest in the country.
No, y'all better not take my Richmond card when I say this. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Not the oldest. I knew Louisiana, New Orleans was another major place where the enslaved were, but I didn't know we were the oldest. Yeah. Makes sense though, when you think about Virginia.
For the next episode of Behind the Lens, we're going to get one of the interns to make us Richmond cards.
Okay.
And everyone will start with like 2 or 3 Richmond cards.
And then they're gonna,
and we'll see by the end of the episode who has the most. I'm sure I won't have. I'm sure I'll lose mine. Culture, Manchester Manifest. Rosetta really brings it in with filling a gap that he had seen. But talk a little bit about that as well.
Another event that I had the fortune to be a part of and really enjoyed. I didn't know who was running it behind the scenes, so I recently met Ray Swan from Rosetta, and it was just really interesting how he processes things.
Yeah.
He's very methodical, very analytical, and he really serves the community.
Yeah.
Like he wakes up and thinks, how can I help artists today? How can I get creatives in front of more people today?
Yeah.
So it was really cool to hear his passion.
One of the dope things that he said was that you, as a creative, you may not be able to get in one of the galleries downtown during like First Fridays or just even in the art walk and the art district in general. And he's like, south of the James needs that love too. And he has created a whole platform for those creatives to make sure that their expression is shown on a whole nother level.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a block party.
It
feels
is.
good out there.
Yeah.
It looks that way. It
Yeah.
looks like it feels good from what I know of. I don't get to that part of town very often, but it is a part of town with growing diversity, multicultural area that has a lot of people who can kind of come together and create something together that they might not have ordinarily been together.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what's happening in whether you want to call it Blackwell or you want to call it Manchester, there is a cultural convergence, if you will.
And that's when I give you a Richmond card.
That's
There
when
you
I
go.
get a
Good
Richmond
job,
card.
man.
All
Get a
right.
Richmond card.
All right, and it's I said cultural convergence just naturally, but that was our culture feature for the week, so that really fit well.
Right.
Insight, Sean and Pollen, great piece by Sean, just on the timeliness of that, obviously, but he writes a piece in the RTD, and then we got him for the A1 Extra to talk a little bit about that.
What do you have to do in order to be the person that tests pollen levels for 20 years? Like, what kind of qualifications do I need to have?
Right.
Because besides allergies.
She's the only person that tested in the state, right?
I think so, yeah. That's what,
That box that she's using, I'm like, is that like the rain gauge of pollen, and you just see what comes in here and then you measure it and you're like, yeah, it got worse. What? I don't know.
Yeah.
With technology that we have in the 21st century, for that to be the thing, or other people would just say like, oh, look at that coming off of the trees. Yeah, it's getting worse. But what I like about that piece also is that there's probably very easy to say, is pollen getting worse? Like it. But for Sean to take the time and to do that research and to get those sources, those credible sources, to be able to verify that and to get that data, it's impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to him for doing that.
yeah.
We end this week with Darius and Lead in education, and this, I hated that it comes last in our conversation of this, at least, or even in the feature, because that is one of the things that's most special about the storytelling perspective that you take with the show. Is when we think about Richmond through a fresh lens, this is through a fresh lens. Darius is not, correct me if I'm wrong, Darius isn't going to get any other media love elsewhere. He's in front of a CVS and Farm Fresh.
Right.
And he is going to be passed by over and over again
Right.
by individuals in all walks of life and seen as, whether it's not credible, not organized, while well-intentioned, the nature of that sort of station doesn't lend itself to credibility.
Yeah.
But when you look at what he has out there and the way that you tell that story, he certainly does.
Yeah.
And he should.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
How did that come to be?
Yeah.
Meeting Darius, I actually was leaving CVS, getting my allergy medicine, on the way to film a story for 8 at 4. And he says, you know, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And I had time. And the moment I heard him speak, I said, wait, let me grab my camera and come back. Because I just felt his heart, I felt his passion for his cause. And I knew he had something to say.
It was really, I mean, like, I was engaged. And not that I wasn't engaged with the other pieces, but I was like, yo, who is this guy?
Right.
What is he doing? And then to know that, you know, his organization is about making sure that children are educated, and the passion that he had in that, like, give me more, we want more, you know, like, and it's just dope that you had time, you were in the right place, he was in the right place, and that we got to tell that story.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of them in whatever setting it is, whether it's in print or on social, wherever that is. But I would like to see them get to a place, maybe they're working on that or they're there already, that is a little bit more authority in what they're doing, because that's certainly special.
It's happening. It's coming.
That's
Good job once again on another one, and we got more coming. And you know, we also always have to thank the Flying Squirrels and Massey Cancer for all of their support for these episodes, and we're excited about getting outside for more Squirrels games. That's up next, right, guys?
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
All right, thanks for watching this episode of 8 at 4 Behind the Lens, presented by VCU Massey Cancer Center. I'm Matt Pochily, Kelli Lemon, Will Roye. We'll see you next time.